Hello, and welcome to Campus Connections Halloween edition. In this month, we're going to discuss the administration building's history, particularly the 1953 tornado that hit this building. And with us, we have Michael Stevenson, QCC's coordinator of library collection development. This tornado has been tied to some unusual events that have occurred in the college administration building. So, can you share a little bit about the past for this building and about the 1953 tornado?
Just a little note, I started working at Quinsig in the spring of 2003, just before the big 50th anniversary. This was Assumption College's main building, multifunctional building with dormitory space, cafeteria space, classrooms. It was essentially ground zero for the tornado on June 9th, 1953. That tornado had winds estimated now at 300 miles per hour and above. It's considered an F4 or F5. I don't think there was any warning. Tornadoes were seen as more of a Midwestern phenomenon. It's in The Wizard of Oz. Everyone thought, well, they happen in Kansas, but not here.
And I believe that this tornado killed over 100 people and that there were actually some fatalities here on campus as well.
3 clergy, 1 Catholic priest, and 2 nuns in a convent on campus were killed. Assumption did rebuild here. The Kennedy family, as we found out from a book at the Alden Library here at Quinsig, helped out substantially. President Kennedy, he was a U.S. Senator from Massachusetts in 1953, visited Assumption the day after the tornado. His family foundation pledged in what in today's dollars are several million dollars that enabled Assumption College to rebuild here and then eventually to transition their 4-year college portion over to the west side of Worcester.
Now, over the years, many people have reported some unexplained incidents that happened in the administration building here. Have you heard any of those stories? Do you have any of your own that you want to share?
I always find this building spooky. We're in the monks' room, which was used for campus official meetings for years and years. And believe me, we kept our attention on what was happening in the meeting because it was a little spooky to look around. There's also not much of a view. Recently, a dining services acquaintance mentioned that our current chef has heard strange doings from her location over at the kitchen.
Welcome. Here we are in the kitchen, in the basement of the administration building. The kitchen staff are no strangers to odd phenomena and experiences and encounters.
If I'm working, sometimes I see somebody walk by me, and I think it's like somebody coming in and there's nobody there. And then especially when we're sitting in the office, we hear talking, especially after 5, we hear banging. Or like I hear people coming down the stairs, walking over my grate, and then I look and see, and there's nobody there. Or I'd never seen shadows before until I started working down here in the basement at QCC. Other people do hear it too. Other people do see it. So it's just very, very interesting of the noises you hear when you're down here.
My story was actually when I was coordinator of the Future Focus program. So this was one night, I'm gonna say it was maybe close to midnight, in 258A in this building. And I heard 3 knocks at my door. And sorry if I'm a little shaky remembering this. I assumed it was security because my light would obviously be visible from the parking lot. I opened my door. If somebody had been walking down the hallway lights would have been on. And the hallway was pitch black, meaning nobody was there. I'm sorry, I have goosebumps now remembering this.
So it took place in 2004, and it was on the evening of the annual pinning and awards ceremony. And back then in Hebert Auditorium, when you walked into the front doors in the foyer, they had large pictures hanging on the walls of faculty members teaching in different venues in the college. The event took place, we made it through, it was the end of the evening, and everybody had exited the auditorium. And I was standing in the foyer talking with a colleague, and all of a sudden we heard crash. And I look, and my picture was now on the floor. So I thought it was kind of creepy because of all of the pictures and nobody is around, that the picture just fell to the floor and broke into pieces.
My experience actually happened in the dental clinic. I was with a friend. Everyone had left and I was just chit-chatting with Debbie in the back, and I locked everything up. So the 2 doors in the front were locked, the back door was locked. We were actually by one of the machines called a Panorex machine. And I was glancing over at some chairs in the windows, and all of a sudden I heard, and I saw something go by. And Debbie saw the same thing and heard the same thing. So I knew that I wasn't making it up in my mind, but I thought, oh, that must be facilities or something. So I walked around the corner and I said, hello, is anyone there? Nobody was there, doors were locked. So we both decided that was time for us to go, and we took off as fast as we could.
So my second ghost story took place right here in the administration building on the 4th floor. I was having a meeting in this room right here as we speak with a colleague, and I had a music box on my cabinet, and it had been sitting there for probably a couple years. I never played the music box. It had been a gift, and I just had it up there, as a piece. And all of a sudden, we're sitting there chatting, and my music box went off and played 6 or 7 notes. So I never wound it, and it was just kind of a mystery on how all of a sudden the music box just decided to play some music.
Now I'd like to welcome my next guest, English professor Steve Lindy. Steve, I know that you've experienced some odd things happening here, particularly in the administration building and in the 4th floor. Would you share a little bit about it?
20 years ago, maybe 21, 22 years ago, when I first started teaching at Sigmund, I had a course assigned to me to teach on Friday evenings, 6 to 8:50, in room 427 in the administration building. On Friday nights at that time, there were only 5 or 6 classes on campus during that time. Everybody, the weekend was here. All the other courses were in the Supernaut building. But it was a nice room, I didn't question it. We had class there Friday night, 22 students, 3 weeks in a row with no issues whatsoever. The 4th week, we had an exam. Students were allowed to, when they finished the exam, pass it in and then go home. By 8:40, all the exams had been passed in and all the students had left. After the last student left, I heard like a steady noise, a steady pounding. I didn't think it was the heating pipes because it was too steady for the heating pipes. The heating pipes just clank, but I did notice it was distracting. Then I thought perhaps so it must be the maintenance people doing something out in the hallway. I know all the maintenance people in the evenings, and I thought I'd get up, and I went out there, walked a few steps around, looked behind, I didn't see anyone at all. And then I came back in decided to ignore it, came back into the classroom, sat at the desk, and began correcting it again. At a certain point, a few minutes later, I felt that there was somebody standing in the doorway looking at me. I looked up quickly, and there was no one at the door. But I knew there had to be somebody at that door. Somebody was looking at me. So I went back out into the hallway, and I shouted, "Hello, hello, hello, can I help you, hello?" And there was no answer. And I thought maybe some intruders or neighborhood people came in and were fooling. I went back in, I sat at the desk, and immediately felt that there was a presence there. And in that room, I didn't see a presence, but I felt the presence. There was something in that classroom, that area. And I jumped up, I packed on my bags. I did what I never did before, I ran down the stairs. And when I get out to the back door, the swinging doors, public safety officer on that night was coming in the exact same time I was running out. And I said, Danny, somebody's fooling around. Somebody's up to no good up there in the corner up there on 427. And Danny said to me, oh, you ran into a ghost. And I never, ever had heard about any ghosts coming from Assumption College or being at Quinsigamond College. I'm old enough to have been alive during that tornado, but I was not privy to any information of what happened to Assumption College during that storm. So that was a Friday night. On Monday, the first thing I did Monday morning was call my dean, Dr. Coleman, Jack Coleman, and I said, I need a room change, please. Put me on with supernaut on Friday nights. And his first response is, what, you saw the ghost? So he knew about it. I haven't been up there since 20 years. I don't know if that ghost has it in for me or whatnot, but I've had no need to go up there for 20 years, and I don't intend to. So don't ask me, doctor, to go up. Don't put me in the class.
I was just about to ask you to go up there with me.
That's why I was afraid to do this interview, in case you, guess what you're teaching next semester.
Thank you so much, Steve, for joining us and sharing your very personal story of a potentially ghostly encounter on the fourth floor.
Well, thank you for having me, but would you mind walking me out?
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for watching the Halloween edition of Campus Connections. You've heard the stories of encounters, stories of the tragic tornado that hit the administration building. Is the administration building haunted? Are there ghosts wandering the halls? Or is there a natural explanation? Do you have a shadow of a doubt? It's up to you to decide.